Hello and welcome to the first Making Horror podcast. I'm Ryan Sheets, and I'm joined by co-founder of Nautical Films, Jeff Rhodes.
I am waiting for the applause to come in.
Oh, come on, Jeff.
Hello, people. I am Jeff Rose, like he said. I am the co-creator of Nautical. It's been a while since you probably even heard or seen me.
Yeah, we've both kind of been out of it because he was finishing up school, I was moving to Florida, so
yeah,
a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, but now we got ourselves mostly situated in our designated areas, and we're going to be pumping out a lot more content in the upcoming months and weeks and years to come.
Pretty much the schedule that you're going to be able to count on from now on for Making Horror is going to be, we're going to be shooting episodes on Tuesdays, and they will be up on Wednesdays, so you can look forward to that. And Jeff is actually going to be starting his own show.
Yes.
Within the coming month, I believe.
Yeah, I mean it's still got a lot of producers talking back here. We do table reads, all that stuff, all that good stuff. But it should be a more entertaining kind of like thing for Nautical. Kind of keep our our fans, our viewers, up to date on what's going on around, the country, entertainment, and just with a fun little way to it, And then I've been doing my top 10 list as well, Watch Mojo has their top 10, but I kind of want to do a Jeff Rose top 10 because I feel like my top 10 for a lot of things is unorthodox, to say the least.
One more thing that I wanted to bring up before we actually get into this podcast and really get to the meat of it is I wanted to explain what Alone Anthology is, because we uploaded the trailer without it really any context. So basically, it's no secret that the most popular short film on our channel is Alone, and I kind of like that idea to branch off on that and kind of go into the direction of, go into all of these different scenarios where, you might be alone, whether it be babysitting someone's house or going for a run, going out on a date, and kind of taking all of these and adding a supernatural spin to it. And there's a bunch of different people working on this at once, both in Florida and in Indiana. So we're going to be bringing out quite a few short films. The first one is going to be called Alone Happy Lane. The script, I just rewrote the script yesterday, so that should be, we should start shooting fairly soon, and then Jeff is going to be making his within the next month as well.
Yes, that's right now we got a makeup artist, so and she's pretty legit. So I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a fun ride.
Absolutely. Okay, so with all that kind of housekeeping stuff out of the way,
let's get down to brass tacks, shall we?
Why do I let you speak? I swear to God, I can't.
This is America.
Okay, so the Making Horror podcast, we're doing this just to have a way to just kind of discuss horror movies and discuss different topics in horror.
Yeah, because me and Ryan don't live in the same state anymore. So, we used to live together. We used to have a lot of debates about a lot of movies, and
absolutely.
Yeah, during just the last weekend when we watched this movie, texts were flying. There's a lot of different viewpoints about this movie.
Literally, as soon as I got home, as I was walking in, I was just getting bombarded by texts. And here's the interesting part about this discussion is that Jeff and I have very differing views on this movie.
Yes.
So we kind of wanted to just kind of document our discussions, and podcast seemed like the perfect way to do that. So, the Making Horror podcast, it might involve some of the more, technical stuff of making horror that the show has produced. But for the most part, it's going to be just, us talking about it and discussing different horror movies that we've seen and that kind of stuff. So it's really going to be discussion based.
Yeah. So do you just want to tell the people at home what movie we are talking about?
Well, if they read the title, we
Hey,
are.
I'm not judging. Some people may not be able to read. Okay. What do I know about life or anything? Oh my god.
Okay, okay, Jeff. Okay, so we are going to be talking about The Nun, which just came out this past weekend, and
Wait,
the
hold on,
full
hold on, hold on,
review
hold on,
of.
hold on. I want to do like the little. Oh.
Oh my god.
That's the best part of the whole entire movie right there.
Oh my god. So the full review, like the actual review of is going to be up on Making Horror on Wednesday. That's this week's episode of Making Horror, so you can count on that coming out. But we're just going to discuss it right now. And we'll be upfront spoilers. We're going right into spoiler territory.
Oh yes, yes. Like, cause most of what I would say, like the negatives of this movie, I think the biggest negative for me is a spoiler, and so like we
Okay, yeah.
we can't avoid talking about it on this podcast. So if you haven't seen the movie, press pause, go see the movie,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
and then unpause and then listen to what we have to say about it.
Or just press pause and never listen to us again. It's your choice.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is America. Do what you want.
Do what you want. Yeah, it does. You just don't even need to. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's kick this off. I guess just tell them what your feeling on the film was, just your general feeling.
Well, so this is for people who've seen the movie now. Spoiler alert territory. So the movie is basically about this nun commits suicide. The Vatican City thinks there's more than just a nun committing suicide, and they send this exorcist dude and a nun who's not even a nun yet to go investigate what's going on. If it's just a nun committing
You haven't
suicide,
even taken your vows.
yeah, it's
The amount of
stupid.
times that they said that in this
Right?
movie is
And
pissed
I
me
can
off.
guarantee you, when the drinking game comes out for this movie, that will be one of the rules.
Every
I
time
can,
someone says you haven't
yes,
taken your vow, oh, take a shot.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then spookiness occurs throughout the movie, and I, I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't enjoy it. I was just there,
Yeah.
Like I saw it with my girlfriend and my best friend. And me and my best friend love horror movies. We saw all the classics together. What?
Just keep going. I'm gonna go grab a beer.
Oh my god! And we saw the classics together. Like we seen Sinister together. We seen Insidious, and we saw all the most of the Conjuring movies together. And when I was just watching it, it just didn't have that Conjuring movie feel. I mean, this is kind of like my take on it. When you watch the Conjuring movies, Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, you have that James Wan esque, that James Wan signature style of filmmaking and of horror movies in general. When you watched Annabelle Creations, it kind of had that, that it kind of kept up the Conjuring factor. And then, the one movie that everyone says is a failure of that is the first Annabelle movie, which I liked personally better than this movie. I thought the storyline was better than The Nun.
Really?
Yes, I mean I'm not proud to
Okay.
say that, but like when it comes down to me, when it comes down to it and just me, like my personal feelings for this movie, I have to put it last in the Conjuring universe. I mean,
Did you say when it comes down to it?
oh, for the listeners, this idiot just pulled a Pennywise action figure out of nowhere, and I really do hate this man.
Why, Jeff? Will it give you nightmares?
Dude, can you just burn in hell along with this nun, along with that, like just burn in hell. God, why are you this way? And for those who didn't see it, because it's a podcast, when he said nightmare, he brought Freddy Krueger, because he's
I
just
know.
that kind of person.
I know, Jeff. You just really wish it were Friday.
I'm not even gonna chuckle at that because that's so stupid. That for those of you again, Friday he put up Jason. The fact that
Okay,
he has
just for clarity's sake, that's the last one that I have, so I can't make any more puns.
okay, good, God. I forgot what I was talking about. Yes, the Nun. Thank God you don't have a Nun action figure, because
I almost did.
of course you did. But when it comes down to it, I don't think this felt like a Conjuring universe movie. That's when I come to a theater when it
Okay.
says in the trailer and all the ads, the Conjuring universe is part of this universe. You it needs to feel like it's part of this universe. The only thing I felt like a part of the universe was the Nun, and she
Okay.
wasn't
Well,
even in that movie that much.
real quick, I'll pose a counter argument to that. What about something like Guardians of the Galaxy to the MCU? I mean,
The
y-
Guardians of the Galaxy has that, and all the Marvel movies have a Marvel movie feel. Like they're
okay,
funny, adventurous, and for most of the fact, like most of the matter, they all have like the kind of same tone. It's like goofy, fun, boom, boom, pow, pow, psh, psh, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know what that was,
yes,
but
that
like when you're
the
watching
boom boom pow pow.
a Marvel movie, you know it's a Marvel movie, not a DC movie. That's their shtick. You
Okay,
know, I didn't get that watching even watching
okay.
Annabelle, like the first Annabelle. I can only compare it to like the worst movie of the Conjuring. I think it's the worst one, so I'm going to compare them both a lot. Even
Well,
watching Annabelle, I felt like it was more Conjuring esque. Like,
the reason for that is because the cinematographer for the first Conjuring, I believe this is correct. The cinematographer for the first Conjuring, he was also the cinematographer for Annabelle, and he was also the director.
oh really?
He also directed Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So
Oh, awesome.
that was supposed to be a negative, Jeff. Thank you for undermining my point.
I
You've
mean,
really done me a solid
I will
here.
admit, Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation is a guilty pleasure movie. I mean, it's so
Okay, well,
bad, but
that
I
was the
love
wrong
it.
thing for me to say then.
But okay,
I take it back.
I can understand that though. But like, yeah, then it's just a lot of to take in. And then again, I only saw it once. A lot of horror movies, it takes me like a while. Like even with Annabelle Creations, I didn't like it that much at first, and I saw it again in theaters, and all the scares got me again. Then like it was, even though I saw it, knew it was coming, it still spooked me out. And
I'm
watching
surprised that I thought you
what
liked it on the first go for
I
Annabelle.
did, but I didn't. Oh, Conjuring. I like Annabelle Creations, but I put it before Conjuring 2. I love Annabelle Creations that much now because
Oh, really?
I kept watching it over and over again. Like
Okay. Okay.
just that freaking
You know
scarecrow.
why? You know
That
why?
that's that scarecrow.
It's
I think
David F.
this.
Sandberg. I mean, David
Oh,
F. Sandberg
oh,
is
Pony Dude.
yeah, Pony Smasher.
Oh, that's probably
Yeah, I
why.
mean,
I love Lights Out. Lights Out was a great movie.
Lights Out is a really good movie.
So th-
Um,
I I did know that probably at one point in my life, but I totally forgot.
yeah, because I probably told you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why everything you say to me just goes one ear out the other. So,
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for really showing how much you give a shit about me.
but
Okay, I'm gonna say my general opinions before we get into
okay, yeah.
the real discussion.
So, what did you
Um,
think about the movie, Ryan?
really on the nose there with the send off. Uh, I really enjoyed The Nun. I do not think it is one of the stronger entries in the Conjuring universe. I'm
Fact.
very well aware of the flaws. I do put it above the first Annabelle.
I mean, it's
Um,
like 51%, 49% for me. Like they're
okay,
neck and
okay.
neck. Yeah.
Um, but like as many problems as I had with it, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying myself while watching that. I really was having fun while watching it, and there are some outlandish, stupid, downright comical things in this movie
Yes. Oh, there's
that
so many.
that I when I was watching it, I actually laughed in the theater, and I wasn't supposed to
Oh,
laugh,
oh
but I
yeah,
did.
no. Oh, it was
And
so funny. Can I just please tell like the funniest part of this movie because I have to get off my chest.
well, let me just say
Oh.
the reason why I appreciate this movie.
Okay. Okay.
And it's really because it is a throwback to old school gothic horror,
Oh, that is
with
true. Oh.
the castle imagery and all of the fog and the graveyards and all the crosses. and kind of like the religious symbolism as well.
Yeah.
It was just like old school, like universal monster movie horror,
Oh,
and I was
and
like,
plus the
I
nun
love
kind of
that.
looks like Nosferatu with like the nose and everything. I mean,
Oh, poor Bonnie Aarons. Poor Bonnie Aarons. Oh, that poor woman. She's making a living out of being just
I
terrifying.
wait, is that a woman?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Her name,
you really?
yeah, her name's
I thought it
Bonnie
was
Aarons.
Homeboy. It was like the composer. Doesn't he composer
Joseph
like
Bashara. No,
yeah?
this is the first. This is the first one that he's not in. But
Wasn't he
Bonnie
the
Bonnie Aarons has played Valak in all three of the past Conjuring movies.
wait?
In
I thought it was
Conjur-
Josh Boshera, whatever the frick his name is. Was
Joseph Bashara.
okay, okay, that guy. I thought he was. I thought he played him in Conjuring too. So you're telling me that this is an actual woman?
Yes, this is Bonnie Aarons is her name.
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna look her up real quick.
Okay, you can look her up after the podcast, Jeff.
No, she just keep talking.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean that's really the main reason why I was enjoying this so much was because it's no secret I'm a big fan of the Haunted Mansion, and a lot of this. He's looking at a picture of Bonnie Aarons right now.
Yo, she's not bad looking.
Oh
Bravo to
my
the makeup
god.
department. I mean, she's a nice looking girl, but she scares the crap. If I saw her face in a dark alley without Valak makeup, I would still scream. But
Good job, Jeff. You are a great person. But like I was saying, I'm a big fan of Disney's The Haunted Mansion, not the movie, the ride, and a lot of this. Shut up. A lot of this really was reminiscent of just that kind of gothic horror that I've got a sweet spot for. As far as
I will
it,
give you that. Yeah,
as far as
the
it
setting and
not
atmosphere was really
feeling
good.
for yeah. As far as it not feeling like a Conjuring universe movie, I would agree, but also kind of disagree because, I appreciate the fact that these Conjuring movies all kind of have their own vibe. The first and I think what also it comes down to is the color palette that's used in the films. Where the first Conjuring is very very orange and with blues coming in at night, but not too prevalent. And then
Conjuring
got
2 just like basically blue.
yeah. The Conjuring 2 is basically blue, and then Annabelle sort of follows the same lines as the first Conjuring, and then Annabelle Creation kind of blends the two together very well. And then this one was just like completely navy blue.
Same.
And I kind of I appreciate that. It would kind of get exhausting. And you and I have talked about this before. How with the the MCU movies, before Infinity War came out, I was starting to get really burnt out on the MCU movies because it just kind of felt like the same thing over and over again. Jeff, I think you're frozen. Okay, there you go. There you go. But it just kind of felt like the same thing over and over again with standouts kind of being Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man: Homecoming and Black Panther. The leading up to Infinity War is really when it started to get me back in. So I appreciate them not trying to just repeat the same thing over and over again. I don't think it worked as well as they wanted it to. I don't think it worked as well as Annabelle Creation did.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate them going for something different. I just wish the script was stronger.
That, and I think that is my biggest like pet peeve of this movie was
The
it
script.
had a plot. It had a plot, but it wasn't like a good one.
Yeah.
But and it was just like you said, it was like moments you laughed in the movie. Like they're like I just have to say it. So there's this the graveyard scene where he just picks up the cross and just takes it to the bar.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was funny, and I think that moment was intentionally funny, especially when he had it at the bar.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, the Conjuring movies had bits of humor. Like one of my favorite joke in the entire franchise is when Patrick Wilson has the fucking big camera, and he's like,
Oh
"It's
yeah.
so small and light." I'm like, that is amazing. That
Yeah.
is so good. And like that's my all-time favorite. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of humor. There's a little bit
Yeah.
in The Conjuring 2 and all of the Conjuring movies, but
This
it's not hammering you over the head with it.
I think this is like what they try to do, like Marvel Universe, try to make Thor Ragnarok and make a funny movie, and
Yeah.
it was inappropriate. Like,
Yeah.
and there's just some things where I laughed at because it was just so stupid. And that's not what you want in a horror movie. You don't want people laughing because it's stupid. If like that joke with the cross, yes, that was intentional. That was funny. It was kind of well placed after like a dark jump scare, and like you just need something
Yeah, yeah. I
to
think I think it was very well juxtaposed to the scene that it
yeah.
was coming off of.
I mean, because I literally looked at my friend and said, "Yeah, same." I'm taking one of these crosses and getting the hell out of here. I'm going to one place
Yeah.
where I need to go, and it's a bar, and like that was funny to me. I liked that. It was just um, the one scene that I really have a problem with was the coffin scene. Like,
Okay. Why though?
um, can demons manipulate reality like that? Because he just fell into a
Okay.
box that wasn't there, then it was there, it was in a hole, then it got covered up, and there was like no dig marks or anything. It was just solid ground, and he was just in a box. And that scene, okay, and then that scene plays out. Okay, yeah, he's in the box. Okay, the the girl finds her, and the girl does this the stupidest line ever. I hear you. Oh, he's screaming top of his lungs. What's that gonna do? It's so stupid. He's like, I hear you, I hear you, and he's like, yeah, get me out now. And he's just like has like his lighter in there, which I feel like that would be really hot for him. But that's like logic I don't care
Well, he's
about.
burning his oxygen is what he was doing. That was really stupid.
I
I'll
didn't even
give
think
you
about that, but yeah, you're right. You're the science idiot.
Um,
But
I
like,
will. I will say. Okay, continue and then I'll butt in
it
really
just
quick.
didn't move the plot forward. It was just literally there for that claustrophobic fear that some of the audience has, like we want to feed off of, and that was it. And just that jump scare, which they already put in one of the like the feature, like in the trailers. So like, I just don't think. If it was a thing, it should have been a deleted scene, if anything. Because if you cut that scene out of the movie, I think you still have the movie. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. To bounce off of that point really quick, because I am going to go back to the very first part of that of your point there. I felt the movie was too short to begin with, so cut that out, and you've got
Yeah,
even less of a movie.
that
But
is true.
what you said about can demons just alter reality like that? Do you remember in The Conjuring 2 where Janet was teleported into a room that was locked from the outside, from the outside? I mean, that happened. So if you're willing to buy that, I don't see why you wouldn't be willing to buy the coffin scene.
Haha.
Now,
You see, Conjuring, good directing, good everything, good story. Didn't notice. So when it's a good movie, you don't notice bad crap. When it's a bad movie, you notice bad things.
okay. I mean, I was just kind of, you know, throwing
was,
that out there just to see what your take on that was. But
I mean, yeah, I get your point.
know,
If I expect it in a movie, I should expect it in this. But like, it was just so out there, and like,
right.
I feel like it was literally only there just for that one cheap jump scare.
Yeah, and before we go into that, we're gonna go on to scares next. But let's stay on script for a second.
Okay.
And let's talk about some of the really bad things about the script, because one thing that I want to talk about in particular is Valak's backstory. It's so bad. It is so bad.
It's so stupid.
It is so stupid.
Okay, so Conjuring 2. I love to hate that movie because of the nun. I think you knew.
Right.
I had fun fact for the story of these listeners. I used to have a poster in my room. I don't know if Ryan remembers this night, but as soon as he got The Conjuring 2 on video, it's 1998 on Blu-ray. We watched it and we went to bed.
Right.
And I have this poster over my bed of Khaleesi with long flowing white hair.
Yeah.
I wake up half asleep, still in the middle of the night. I look up the poster and I just see the nun's face and I scream. I just scream bloody murder, and I don't think Ryan woke up, but I just was like, and I was
I
just like,
remember.
yeah, you remember? I was just,
I
the,
remember the next morning, we're like waking up, and you're like, "Fuck you," and I'm like, "What?" And you're like, "You made me watch The Conjuring 2, and you made me afraid of Khaleesi."
it's the nun was my favorite part, hands down, of The Conjuring 2. That scare,
Yeah.
that whole scene with the painting and the shadow. Oh, oh my god, it was such a good. That was so well
Yes.
directed and so well
Yes.
done. And so like,
And they kind of just tarnished it completely
yes,
with
that's
Alec's backstory.
yeah, and the
You
blood
know,
of
and
Jesus.
while watching Annabelle Creation,
Hmm.
when Sister Charlotte gives Mr. Mullins that picture and shows all the nuns she knew in Romania, and then
Yes,
he just goes,
yes.
"Who's this?" And he kind of shines it into the light,
And then you see
and
Valak.
yeah, you see Valak for like a little glimpse, and you know, in the theater, I mean, just goosebumps, fuck,
Oh
like
yeah,
everywhere. I was just ready to like see what happened there, and when it comes to the actual story of Valak, I was so disappointed in
oh
the
yeah.
end.
It like, to be honest with you, I don't remember that much of it. All I remember is you need the blood of Jesus Christ, like, to seal him away.
Oh my god. It's so stupid.
I was just like,
So
I literally looked at my
unbelievably
friend. I was
stupid.
like, do they mean like a good wine, or do they mean like the literal blood of Jesus
Yeah.
Christ? But they never actually explained
Hidden
that.
in an Easter egg. It's hidden in a literal Easter egg. Uh, but I mean, the whole idea with it was the castle was built by this. I think he was like some sort of priest or something.
Yeah.
I kind of clocked out at this point in the movie because I really did not care about this backstory because it was so
Oh.
bad. I'm just
Mhm.
kind of like trying to delete it from my mind. But he's doing some fucking rituals to summon. Uh, the dark spirits or open the gates to
Yeah.
hell or
He's trying to
something.
open the gates of hell, and then the Crusaders came
Yeah,
in.
the Crusaders come in and stop him and all that, and then they took up perpetual praying to keep the gate closed. I thought
Yeah.
that was cool. I thought that was a really cool idea to play with.
Hmm.
Just not if it were just Valak and there was no explanation as to why she was there or
Hmm.
anything, or
Better
if she
movie.
was like, or if she was like Bathsheba from the first movie and was just like a witch but also a demon and kind of a hybrid between the two, where you know she was a nun but she was practicing witchcraft and all that, and
Hmm.
then she killed herself while proclaiming like her love of Satan, and then you know they're like, okay, we got to keep up perpetual prayer to keep this thing at bay. Awesome, that's a amazing backstory. I love that, but they didn't go that route. And then
Yeah.
like when they're doing this perpetual prayers during World War II, the bombings ruptured the building, and they just stopped praying for half a second, and the gates of hell open up, and oh lordy, here she comes in full fucking body.
And
Like,
my big question is, like, okay, yeah, you have to pray to, but, like, why would you want to build like a convent on top of the gates of hell?
well, I think with the Crusaders, it was like kind of their mission to make sure that it stayed closed.
And like
Um,
purify, like it's like make it holy land. Okay, I guess I
yeah,
see that.
I
Okay,
don't think
yeah.
I don't. I think the convent was just kind of like not an actual convent, but more of a way to keep that gate closed.
Okay.
Makes a little bit more sense, but it's still stupid.
If they explained
Uh,
it, I would know that better. But if they explained it, I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is so dumb.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't get into Valak's backstory. I was very disappointed in all of that, and like I said, I think the backstory that I just pitched to you would have been a better backstory than what we got.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and
it was utterly disappointing.
and I don't know if it was just me, 'cause I talked to me. I saw my, like I said, I saw my best friend and my girlfriend, and my other couple of other friends saw it, we had this like theory about the movie. And did you think that what's her name? I think Irene, Sister Irene, the nun who wasn't really a nun.
Sister Irene.
Did you think that like that was like a young Lorraine at
Oh,
one
the
point?
whole movie. You know what? I saw this with my friend Matt, or my friends Matt and Nick, and as soon as Sister Irene had like that clairvoyant moment where she
Yeah.
tuned out all of the bells
Yes.
except for the one that was ringing, I was like, she's Lorraine. She's totally Lorraine.
And the
And
fact that like
somehow Valak is going to like rip her memory, and that's why she's not a nun
that,
anymore.
oh my god, yes.
And
Oh my
she
god,
doesn't
yes.
remember Valak, and I was like, this is perfect. Okay, I'm so with this.
Yes.
And then
That
they didn't do it.
oh my god.
How do you cast Vera Farmiga's younger sister
Mhm.
and not make her a younger Lorraine? That
Mhm.
drove me insane.
Yeah, cuz me and my girlfriend were
Absolutely drove me
me
insane.
and my girlfriend were talking about this, and she thought what we thought should have happened. She honestly thought that that girl was um was Lorraine. Irene was Lorraine because we
At the
went
end of the
theater.
movie, did she
Yeah,
think that?
at the end of the theater, she's like,
Yeah,
"Wow,
yeah, my
so
friend Nick
that's
did
how the
too.
girl." I was like, I thought too, but babe, that's like not what the movie was about. Like the tie-in was the
Yeah,
guy, not the girl. And he was like,
yeah,
"Wait, the guy?" I was like, "Yeah, Frenchie apparently." Uh, Best part of the whole movie, by the way, Frenchie. I love him.
yeah. Frenchie was
But
awesome.
yeah, Frenchie's the guy who yells in her face. But
We'll get into that tie into the Conjuring here in a second.
yeah,
'Cause I
yeah,
do
yeah.
have something to say about that
That was
a
it
little
was
bit later.
yeah. But I was thinking, not even just like Valak preparing her mind. She just goes, you know what? At the very end of the movie, all this stuff happens. You know, the climax happens. She's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to leave the church behind. I don't want to be a nun. I kind of want to go out and like do this, like and help people do this. And then she goes to a college and she changes her name because all this stuff. She leaves the country, and
Oh
then
no no no
she
no no! Here's what I thought even before the movie came out.
okay,
Um, it doesn't happen as much now, but in the older days, within Catholicism and all that, when sisters would become sisters, they would take on another name. So I was like, okay, she took on Sister Irene as her like. I don't
oh,
even remember what the name of it would be, but that was her like nun name, and I don't remember the technical term.
okay,
But I was like, that's totally gonna be it. And then as soon as she used her clairvoyant thing, and I was like, oh man, I'm so right.
yeah,
No,
nope.
and they just spit in the face, and I couldn't believe that they didn't take better advantage of that. It was insane that they
I
didn't.
think part of me thinks
It
because the first movie was based on real events that they don't really want to like change it that much. That's there's no way that could actually happen to Lorraine. But like, who cares? It's
well,
Hollywood in a movie. Like, I think it would have been awesome.
pretty much everything that happened in The Conjuring 2 didn't actually happen. So, and Lorraine Warren gave that movie her blessing. So,
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was
um,
still based on a true story. I thought it was all like I thought it was
no, no, no.
like the first one.
The Warrens, when they first went to Enfield, they they showed up uninvited. They weren't sent there, and
Oh,
yeah, and they were refused entrance at first. The uh, Hodgsons, I believe, was the
yeah.
Hodgsons family. They didn't want them there, and like I think they were there like a total of a day or two. Like they
Oh
were
wow.
not there very long. Um, and with the Conjuring, the first Conjuring, it's a lot more based on what actually happened.
Hmm. But
But
it's
like
Hollywood. Yeah.
yeah, it was a very romanticized version of it. Like while Carolyn Perrin did have uh, quite an experience, and I won't go as far to say that she got possessed by Bathsheba, but her mood did definitely change drastically.
Hmm.
Like the Warrens never stayed with them. They never stayed in the house like they do in
Oh.
both movies. And like a lot of the stuff that happened in the movie didn't actually happen. If you read House of Darkness, House of Light, there's a lot of freaking cool stuff in there, and stuff that I feel like would have been pretty cool to see in the movie, and I would like to
Hmm.
see in the movie, but uh, but that's the thing with these Conjuring movies. The Conjuring is my favorite horror franchise of all time, and it's hard for me to hate the Conjuring movies. I don't. I'm not totally biased to the point where I can't acknowledge flaws.
Hmm.
Like with the first Annabelle, I'll admit it's not a great movie. With this movie, I'll admit it's not a great movie. I enjoyed it, but it's not great.
It had some good
Um,
scares, but it had some cheap ones too.
okay, and moving on, let's get into that. Let's get into
Scares.
scares because this is where the movie seriously disappointed me. And for anything else, when you said it didn't feel like a movie in the Conjuring universe, this is why.
Yeah.
Um, I The Conjuring is a movie I have broken down. I mean, Jeff lived with me. Jeff has known how many times I've broken down that movie frame by frame
I,
and
I,
watched that movie ad nauseum.
that is true. I can attest to that. Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely love that movie, and I've studied it and its predecessors, and really looked at that movie. And you know, the thing about the Conjuring movies is most, if not all, of the scares up until this point, have been earned. They've been very well earned by building the tension over several minutes, rather than just jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. And that's where this movie fails. There was maybe one scene in this entire film, maybe two, where they actually took their time to draw out the tension
Hmm.
and really earn the scares. It wasn't just a loud noise. And
Yeah.
I've said in a past episode of Making Horror, I don't have any issues with jump scares just when they're used properly.
Hmm.
And they were not used properly here. It was just something popping out for the sake of something popping out. And the scene that really got to me and that I really felt was probably the best use of scares in the whole movie is where Frenchie walks into that room and it's all the nuns with bags over their heads and he's trying to find Sister
Yo.
Irene.
Yo.
That was great.
Yo. That
That
was.
was really well done.
I forgot about that
Um,
one at
the
one
the
point.
simple
That
sound,
was.
like, and there wasn't any like big musical cue every time one of those nuns just like slightly turned their head.
Yeah.
Like, it was just the sound of like the cracking of their neck. It was like and
That.
great,
Okay. Yeah.
good
That was
stuff.
pretty good.
That was awesome. And then the worst part of that scene, even though I'm singing that the scene's praises, they don't take advantage of it in the end. They have this really nice build up, and then what happens? All of the nuns just move and show
Yeah.
Sister Irene possessed by Valak, and I'm like, come
Doing
on.
doing the Michael Jackson lean.
Doing the smooth criminal.
That's what I told my friend. I was like, dude, she's Michael Jackson.
She's straight up doing smooth criminal.
Dude, but
And
yeah, I can. I forgot about that scene. That scene was a
yeah,
very important scene, and I the cracking of the necks was I think was enough for me because at this point I was just like, okay, just gonna get scared. I'm not gonna get scared. I get jump scared. There's a difference between being scared like tremendously and then
right.
being scared for 3 seconds because it was a jump scare. You're
Absolutely.
not really scared. You're surprised. There's a lot of surprising moments in this, and I was just like, I'm not really scared. That was
Yeah.
the one scene where I was just like, okay, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's Michael Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, it was just it was either a payoff not earned by
Hmm.
a random jump scare that gave nothing to the film, or a really good build up with no payoff. And there was no middle ground. There was no point in this movie. There was no crooked man scene. As
Yeah.
Jeff knows, that first crooked man scene in The Conjuring 2, I love that scene because the build up to it. It's about a minute and a half of buildup of just Billy looking for the dog and the bell ringing, and it's real quiet. And then it plays with your expectations when he opens the door. You just don't know what's gonna happen. And the first time I saw it, I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's framed in a way. The dog's on one third, Billy's on the other, and I'm just like, what is gonna happen? It's not framed to the point where you're like, someone's gonna pop out behind him or something, and then all of a sudden it does it's the best payoff in any of the Conjuring movies that I can think of.
Whoa, whoa,
Where
whoa, 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 whoa! Disagree.
for me,
Uh,
for me,
You, boy, You're gonna tell me the first time you see Bathsheba on top of that damn cat like wardrobe, you didn't freak the hell out.
Okay. Let me put it to you like this. Okay, it's the best payoff when it comes to what I was expecting to happen.
Okay.
I knew I was going to see something along the lines of Bathsheba when watching the first Conjuring.
Boy, that's the worst scare I've ever seen in my life, bro. I remember that in theaters clear this day. I dropped my popcorn.
Did you know that that's the one scare that has actually gotten Jorge? Like,
really?
yeah, he's not scared of horror movies very often, but that scare actually did get him. But
that should scare everybody. That was the terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god! Kudos to James Wan for that.
What I mean is, no part of me expected the dog to just
turn to a man,
turn into the crooked man. That I mean, I remember like physically on the couch, because I didn't see this in The Conjuring 2 in theaters, but I was like sitting on the couch and I was physically moving myself as far away from the TV as possible. No, you can't, no. And like there's just nothing like that in this movie. And it's a shame because even Annabelle Creation had a really good, actually a couple of really good moments like that, where one of them was a real subtle scare where Lulu Wilson's character is underneath the staircase and she sees the Annabelle doll. And if you're not looking, you don't see it. But if the first time they show the Annabelle doll, you can see the demon's face right behind it. It's terrifying,
really?
But there's no music to it, and it's beautiful. I love that. But the other is where I think her name is Janice, the main character, the one that has polio, the one that gets possessed.
Yeah.
Where she's like walking and then she like slowly walks backwards into the darkness and turns into the demon. Like good stuff like that. Nothing like that in this movie.
Yeah, I will say the one that got me the most, like the jump scare got me the most, was the hands through the door. And even that one, it came
in the
yeah. And when it came in the
okay.
hall, and
In
even
that
that
hallway.
jump scare happened right after the other jump scare. Like there's a jump scare before that. Turn around, I'm like, okay, I'm safe. And then pop the hands. That got me because I was caught off guard, and I was like, okay, that got me.
I really liked the scene that was a part of, where like she opens the door and everything starts going haywire and Valak's standing there, and then like Valak is like playing with her mind or something to make it seem like the whole room is turning and she feels like she's hanging on to something, and then she like falls and hits the door. And then she realizes that, like, the camera turns, and she realizes, like, she's been right side up the whole time. I thought that was really cool. And then I was like, don't do it. I know what you want to do. Don't do it.
And it did
and he did it. And that's part of the problem I have with this movie as a whole is Corin Hardy, the director. I just don't think he's... and I can't say this for sure. I haven't seen any of his other films. I know he hasn't done a lot. And if he's done other horror films, I might be wrong by saying this, but just by seeing this movie, I don't think he understands what makes the Conjuring movies great. I don't think he understands the amount of complexity that goes into the scares, because to me, it felt like he just wanted to get as many scares out as possible, just back to back to back.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't work for me. It didn't work even in the slightest with the scares, except for that one scene.
Like this is something that I would see in like, we went to a kind of like a film school, but I feel like this is like something you would see like in a gateway. Like a person who wants just to scare the audience as much as possible, so they have scares
with much lower production value.
Much, yeah. Oh, of course, yes, of course.
It would be shot in black and white on an NX5 in 4:3 aspect ratio, and someone would say, "This is my magnum opus."
The good days.
The good days. I can't tell you how many projects we've seen. Like when we were in school, all of those projects, man, the projects that were in black and white, super dramatic and shot in like
Yeah.
4:3 because they didn't know how to do a 16:9 aspect ratio.
But
It's
yeah,
laughable but funny.
I was like, you give like a person who doesn't like really get like what like a horror is about, like especially horror movies nowadays. Well, like
He kind of seems full of himself. Like when watching interviews with David Sandberg, I love watching interviews with him because
mm,
he seems like a very humble guy. If you don't know, David Sandberg is the guy that directed Annabelle Creation and Lights Out. He also is directing Shazam. Um,
so random. I love it.
yeah. You really, you really stepped the ladder there.
I
You
mean,
skipped a couple.
it's like Scott Derrickson, the guy who did Sinister and Emily
Oh,
Rose.
and then he went to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but you can tell the cinematography looks like exactly like a horror movie though. In Doctor Strange, I
Yeah.
loved it. Shazam looks like a just a campy, nice, lighthearted
Oh yeah.
movie. So like, resume, Lights Out, Annabelle Creations, Shazam. That's just
But
random.
watching interviews with David Sandberg, and he was on the Film Riot podcast in their first week, and listening to that podcast, you can just tell like he's a very humble guy, and he's very you know very aware of how lucky he is to be in the situation that he's in, and
Hmm.
getting the opportunities that he's gotten. He just seems like a really down to earth guy that I would love to just talk to about this
Yeah,
stuff. And whereas with Corin Hardy, when I watch interviews with him, it really feels like he feels like he deserves to be there rather than he's lucky to be there.
yeah. Well, that thing.
And I think that attitude shows through with the final quality of this film. Again, I did enjoy this film, but I am tearing into it because it's the Conjuring universe. It's my favorite horror franchise, and I'm not going to give it a pass just because it's in the Conjuring universe.
See, I was I was torn when I was watching this because I usually Ryan can attest to this. Like I like most movies that most people don't like. Like even
This is
people
true.
who like most
This
people
is
like people
very, very
people hate
true.
with a passion. I'm like, it's alright. I like that.
It was all right. It was pretty good.
It did its job. It entertained me for a
It did
little
its
bit.
thing.
But for this one, I think Ryan's right. It's the Conjuring universe. I come in with expectations of what I want, and I didn't get the expectations. I got something totally different, and that's why I just didn't like it. Maybe I will admit, maybe like another time I watch it when it comes like to DVD, I watch it and I like it a little bit
I
better.
think the next time you watch it, you probably will like it better because your expectations won't
We're
be
so
as high.
low.
You'll
Yeah,
know what you're going into. And I feel like that with every kind of average movie. I wouldn't
yeah,
go as far to say that this movie is bad.
yeah.
I think it's average. It's on the same level
It's
as
a
the
bad
first
Conjuring movie, though.
Annabelle. Yeah, it is a bad Conjuring movie.
Yes,
When compared to the predecessors, except for Annabelle, and even though you rate this, I mean, you said it's neck and neck.
it's like about
Um,
the same for me. Yeah,
so I wouldn't want to see Corin Hardy back directing any more of the Conjuring universe movies.
yeah.
I like I like what he did with the atmosphere and
Hmm.
and the sets.
Yes.
But really, when it comes down to it, it the most important parts, the most crucial parts, didn't end up landing, and it was just kind of a bummer to see that. You know, I had certain expectations for this movie, especially with Valak's backstory, and they weren't met. And it's kind of a bummer. But once Jeff shares his thoughts, I'm gonna start talking about some of the things that I did like about this movie because there were some things that I really did like.
Yeah, there's just I have a couple of positives and a couple of things I liked about this movie, but my negatives did outweigh the positives. But I will say, even we're talking about like positives, right? Like what we liked about this movie
Yeah.
now. Okay, so
I was gonna let you just kind of share your final negatives, and then we'll go into the positives.
I said what I said. This movie's blah.
Okay. Okay.
The scares were cheap. The plot was weak. and it just didn't have the expectations that I wanted for a Conjuring movie. And
It didn't have the same charm that the
yeah,
Conjuring movies have
that's
had.
that's like the perfect way to say it. They didn't have that
Yeah,
Conjuring charm. That's a good way to
yeah,
put it. You
absolutely.
did one good thing in your life today. Good job.
Thank you, Jeff. You fill my heart with glee. I hope you know that. Even when we're miles away.
Uh, this never gets old.
Oh no, it doesn't. This making horror podcast is going to be very fun.
Oh,
And this is also the reason that this is I think my fourth beer uh
oh,
tonight. So pumpkin
someone's.
spice beer, yeah.
Are we gonna get
Sh-
sued because we didn't have
It's
copyrights?
it's audio, Jeff. They're not going to see
Hey, hey,
me
hey,
holding it up
hey,
to the.
hey! I've failed media law 3 times,
Yes, I am well aware of how many times you failed media law.
but I
Jeff,
passed it once.
you're not making us look good as a company.
We can hire lawyers, okay? God,
I passed it. I passed media law. Thank you.
I passed it too. It just took me a while.
Okay, we're going on to positives. Let's
Alright.
talk about positives.
I
I
will.
think-
Okay, you go first. I went first last time. You go first.
Okay. I'm gonna list my positives really quick. First, one that I've already talked about is just the gothic horror. Just you do not see that in mainstream horror right now. It was great to see it. I truly appreciated that. And if Hardy did Corin Hardy. is his
Who
name.
cares?
Yeah. If he did one good thing in this movie, I hope it's the idea to shoot at this castle because it's awesome. The acting is also pretty good. The script is not great, but the actors work with what they've got.
I will say, yeah. I was.
Thaisa Farmiga did, I think, the best
What
job.
that is? What is that? Her name?
Thaisa Farmiga, yeah.
I was gonna call her Little Bates.
Little,
little Norma, because I can't pronounce her name. I can't pronounce the regular girl's name. I can't pronounce the little girl's name. Was it
Okay,
for me?
Vera Farmiga. Vera Farmiga is
Bless you.
Lorraine Warren. This was a bad idea. We shouldn't have done this.
Okay, so you said it's Vera Farmiga and Teresa.
Thaisa.
This is like a black name. Okay, Thaisa Farmiga and Vera. Yes, I was really impressed by her performance as well too. Even with her first scene, she was in the movie with the kids.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, like this. Yeah, she was good in American Horror Story too.
Two things. First, I think the scene where she was like the nuns came in and were like never or just don't stop praying.
Yo,
That was a good scene.
that was.
Then when her like habit got ripped open and the pentagram was being carved into her back, like that was cool. And her acting was really good. But going back to that first scene, I didn't catch it, and I really wish I had because this is kind of a reference to The Conjuring too. But apparently, there's two instances in this movie where this happens. In that scene, there were some blocks like in the background that spelled out.
Did it spell
Valak.
Valak? Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
And
I missed-
remember when the priest and Thaisa Farmiga put their luggage on the wrong. They put it on the truck and it started driving away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently the license plate said Valak too.
What
I didn't catch it, and I'm mad I didn't because I was looking for stuff like that, and I guess I'm just an idiot. But
is that like a new thing to like put in the Conjuring like movies like Valak?
That's awesome. I love that.
I mean the blocks. I like the blocks. So like in Conjuring 2, once you see it for a second time, like you're like
You notice all the times it says Valak,
yeah,
Valak.
right. Well, no, when I first watched, it, I was like, "What's Alec?" Because I didn't see the V.
Oh yeah, because the first time it's like it says love with a
Yeah.
giant V, and then underneath it says Alec.
Yeah, and I was
And
like, "What is
once
this?"
once you actually hear the nun's name and you watch it again, you're like, Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was just like, why is that there? But like, it's kind of cool anyways. I don't care. Why it's
Yeah,
not
I
like
think
why
I
is
think
it?
it happens 3 times in The Conjuring 2. It happens twice here. Really cool.
Yeah, I didn't
I
catch that
dug
though.
that. But okay, so acting was good. Pretty much all around. I feel like the guy that played Frenchie. A good job
Love
dropping your
him.
phone, Jeff.
I love
Um,
him.
I feel like the guy that was playing Frenchie, he kind of like was like, you know what, this script is kind of ridiculous, and
Oh,
I'm
he
gonna
went
go
with
with
it.
it. So
I loved it.
so he really really went with it, and I did enjoy that. But I will say I think my number one thing that I love about this movie is the score. Um, I started listening to the
Mm.
score even before the movie came out, and in particular the first song on the soundtrack. It's not the song that opens the movie. It's actually the song that plays when Sister Irene is taking her final vows. Um, it's called "God Ends Here." I've been listening to that nonstop ever
Is
since the
that
movie came out.
so? Wait, so you're saying that song is when they all like it's that one song where that plays where like she's getting ready to take her vows, he's cocking that gun, and like the priest is like
Yeah,
doing all
yeah.
that sequence. I hated that sequence.
I didn't like the sequence, but I like the song.
I
I
was too
think
busy. It felt like that's what the movie I felt like because we talked about this on our text. I was like, you said like the score was really good. I was like, was it like I like at that point? This is what I was thinking. I was like, when did this horror movie turn into an action adventure movie? That's what it
yeah,
felt like.
I and see I think the reason I like that song so much, and actually I was disappointed with the use of the song in the movie, was because it kicks off the soundtrack perfectly, but it doesn't kick off the movie. If that had been the song that kicked off the movie, I would have been fucking in. I really, really like that song.
Hmm.
And just the fact that it's not the song that kicks off the movie. It's so far late into the movie.
That's kind of
It
weird.
doesn't match the rest of the tone. It really does feel like the beginning of something, and to have it so far back into the movie just felt so bizarre.
Yeah, because you're right when that says like it didn't match the rest of the movie because you're right. I noticed it, and like I said
Yeah.
earlier, like you don't notice that kind of things in good movies, but you notice it in bad movies. Like I noticed, I was like, wait, like there's a tone change shift in this. I don't know if I'm on board with it at all
Absolutely.
because like when he was cocking that gun and she was like putting on the cross, I was just like, this is like an action sequence. This is like the third act of an action movie. They're about to go face the big boss,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're like calling Iron Man. That's what I felt like.
And here's the thing with that is, yeah, okay, for an action movie that works, but when you're going into the third act of a horror movie, that's when everything is going wrong. I mean,
Yeah,
that's when everything is supposed to be at its absolute worst, and it just like when I think about it, The Conjuring had Carolyn taking two of the daughters to the back to the farmhouse,
yeah,
and it was just really grim. And then The Conjuring 2 had when they listened back through that they played those two tapes at the same time, and it spelled out
yeah.
that message,
Hmm.
and they figured out what was going on. They rushed back. It was like when everything was at its absolute worst. And here, it's like empowering, and it
Yeah.
just didn't feel right.
The
And
stakes weren't as high. I feel like.
absolutely. And you know what? Going off of that, this movie was much smaller than I had wanted it to be. It was a very small movie.
Oh yeah.
And, for a Conjuring movie, that's not what I expect. I expect something a little bit bigger than what this movie delivered. But if I'm talking about the soundtrack on its own, especially when Valak, every time Valak came out, and you even did it to kick the song. Yeah, yeah.
I love
That.
okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that gives me goosebumps. Like if
Yeah,
that was my
but
alarm clock in the morning, I would throw my phone to the floor and like set it on fire with kerosene and everything. Yeah, that I
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That whole
Uh
Yeah, that's good.
The song to, but the soundtrack. I've listened to it. I really enjoy it. Um, it's hard to gauge these soundtracks as far as which one I like the most because they are all pretty different. The first three done by Joseph Bishara. They all those three have kind of like the same
Ugh.
vibe, whereas
Those
Annabelle
those those
Creation
those those damn
and
strings. I Did he
the
do Insidious too?
f- yeah, he did.
God,
Serious.
those
Uh,
damn strings. Oh my
those
god.
damn straight. I would have to say The Conjuring is still my favorite out of all the soundtracks, just because of the song that plays when the Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema logos come up on screen. Like it's the very first 10 seconds of the movie, and the song that plays, it's just like a really low wah, and then you got like
Oh
the
yeah.
the horns that come in. They're like and it just it. Whenever I put that on, I'm like, I'm watching The Conjuring. Like, I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Settle
I
down.
really like The Conjuring. I really, really like The Conjuring. It's my favorite horror movie. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies. I love it.
Okay.
But this is probably a close second. I really dug the soundtrack. It's much different than any of the other Conjuring soundtracks. So that was probably the thing that I liked the most about it. The makeup was good. The special effects were a hit and miss.
I agree with that. Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention, really quick, while we were back when we were talking about script, and this is actually like the other moments that were stupid. I just kind of like that was
Yeah.
stupid.
It is what it is.
But the one time where I was actually like I laughed out loud at how stupid it was when Thaisa Farmiga's character gives Valak the egg of Christ, and
The climax.
the literal climax of the movie. Valak holds it up and she's all like, "Eh," and then she sees it's broken, and Thaisa Farmiga just spits the blood of Christ onto Valak, and she's like, "Oh, I'm melting." I'm like, "Are we watching The
Disrespectful.
Wizard of Oz?
It was
What is
disrespectful.
this?"
You don't
It-
treat the
that-
blood of Christ like it's a freaking makeup prop. You don't spit in
Yeah,
it.
it
But
was.
you got to do what you got to do, apparently. But
It was that was just that was. I mean, I thought it was clever. I thought it was
wasn't
clever.
clever.
It was
Ridiculous,
It
but
was
clever.
it was ridiculous, and if this were comedy, it would be gold.
Yeah.
But it was dumb. I thought something that would be so much cooler is just if she had this glass egg with the blood of Christ and just smashed it over Valak's head. That would have been so much more badass.
But we're not directing this movie, Ryan. It was meant by some scrub from UCLA or something. I don't know. Actually,
This is true.
I don't want to do slander. I don't know where this guy's from. But yeah, the movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
The movie. If I had to sum it up in one word, what would be ridiculous? This movie is ridiculous.
Yeah.
uh,
There's
but
there's things in it that are enjoyable.
Yeah.
I will say that.
there are very few, but there are some. Now the thing is, I want to get to before we talk about the tie-in. Do you think that this will get like the Nun will get a franchise? So you think like it'll be like Annabelle? Are you think they're gonna make a Nun too?
As of right now, I don't think so. Well, really, it depends on the box office. I mean, let's be real. That is what
Sure.
it comes down to. So far, this has had the largest opening out of any of the Conjuring movies,
Are you
which is awesome.
Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. This, I think, opened with 55. And before that, I think the highest was 40.
Wow.
So right now, it's killing it. We're just going to have to see how much it drops. And
Yeah.
if it drops significantly, I can't see it, sustaining franchise energy
Yeah.
or enough for Warner Brothers to say, okay, this warrants a sequel. But the same could have been said about Annabelle, and we got Annabelle Creation.
That is true. I mean,
So
yeah. I just hope that if they choose to go with the sequel route, that they use our theory about Lorraine and my sister Irene in the second one.
it would be difficult to do it now. I think that they've already established this, and here's my wishes if they decide to make The Nun 2. First off, ditch the name The Nun. It is so bad. That is such a bad
I
name.
think it's funny as
Why did
hell.
they not call it Valak? I mean, seriously. The Nun? How
Because
cheesy of a name can you get?
because if you're not like me and you or any other moviegoer, and you're like my girlfriend, or just like a random like person, you're just like, oh, what's that? Who's the nun from that movie? Like, oh, it's the
Okay,
nun.
okay,
The nun's
let's
scary.
let's think about that. Oh, okay. Who's Annabelle?
Everyone knows Annabelle is. You don't call it the doll. You call it the Annabelle doll.
No, if you haven't seen the Conjuring movies, which if you've seen the Conjuring 2, you should know who Valak is.
Sure.
But I understand what you're saying, but still, it wouldn't have been that big of a leap because somebody could have said the same about Guardians of the Galaxy. Who are the Guardians of the Galaxy? We don't know.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, I really feel like The Nun was just such a bad title, but
Well, it makes me scared of nuns now. I'll give you that. After Conjuring 2, I was scared to go near a nun.
but if they do, like, I would love to see the sequel just be called Valak. I think that would be a much cooler title, though I don't know how because they've kind of wrapped this story up in a little bow unless they wanted to talk about the nuns that were trying to keep Valak at bay by constantly praying to keep the gates of hell closed. If they wanted to, they could explore that and hopefully make it good. But the like if they do continue it, I would highly recommend replacing Corn Hardy. I don't think he did a good job at directing. I don't think that he really captured the essence of the Conjuring universe and the staples of the Conjuring universe. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, there was one of the signature like James Wan long takes from this movie, which all of the other Conjuring movies have had.
Yeah.
Even the ones not directed by James Wan, they've gone with the long take, and it irritated me to see how much this movie was cutting, and I was like, okay, this is just getting exhausting at this point. Like, take a moment and really draw out your scares.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult, and just so I'd recommend replacing him. I don't think he was a good choice for this movie. If I had my way, it would have been David Sandberg or James Wan at that matter. But
they're both
it wasn't.
they're both kind of stuck with DC for the moment. One's doing Shazam, one doing Aquaman.
Is it bad that I really hope both of those movies fail so they'll come back to horror?
You do know Patrick Wilson's in Aquaman, right?
I do. It's fine. Patrick Wilson, please come back to Chops.
That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for you to call him Chops.
Come on, bring Chops back. Actually, have you read the description for Annabelle 3?
No, I have not. I know it's
my
confirmed
head
yet.
exploded. Yeah, it is confirmed. The writer, which actually, very bizarrely, one of the main writers of the Conjuring universe, I believe he wrote Annabelle Creation and had a hand in the rest of the Conjuring movies. He wrote this movie, which was very bizarre to me, because the rest of the scripts have been extremely good. But he's writing Annabelle 3, and he's also directing it.
Well, that just makes me even
I'm
feel
curious.
more like this movie was rushed. Like, I feel like this was rushed to production. Like, they saw how good Conjuring 2 was. Like, hey, make a script for this. And he's like, okay. And he kind of just put together what he did.
Yeah. But I mean,
That's what I
plus
get from
this
this movie.
if you look at the scheduling, I mean, between Conjuring movies, there's been a couple years, and this movie there was 1 year, but between this in the last one, and that's my fear, is that they start pushing these out every year. As much as I would love to get a Conjuring movie every year,
Yeah, if
because
this
I
is what
love this franchise so much.
if this is what it looks like, take your time, please, and just put
Please
out.
take your time.
Yeah,
Yeah, please take your
put out
time.
one with quality, like Animal Creations. Animal Creations was the last one,
Yeah,
right? And that one I
yeah.
really enjoyed. Great movie.
But the synopsis for the third Annabelle is going to be haunting the Warrens' daughter Judy, and Patrick Wilson is going to come back for Chops, and Vera Farmiga is going to come back for Lorraine. And I'm like, yo, that sounds awesome. You know, like, if there's one thing I felt has been missing from the Annabelle movies, it's Ed and Lorraine Warren. I mean, they're the heart of the series. So yeah, I'd
I
love to see that.
You know what I would love to see? Like I know like
Mhm.
they all take place in like this one take place in the 50s, in the 70s, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I want like I think it would mostly work for not the Conjuring movie, more like the Annabelle franchise, like a current one in like this time.
I 100% disagree. Um,
Really.
I really feel like one of the strongest elements of the entire Conjuring franchise is that they are all period pieces. And that's also a reason why I feel Ouija Origin of Evil worked so well, was also because it was a period piece. Um, I just think when it comes to the modern horror movies, the ones that do the best are typically period pieces. But you know, because really, you look back at all of the greatest horror movies that came out, and they came out of like the 70s and 80s, and even before that. But you know, the reason that I feel like that is because, you know, take an example from this movie. Honestly, that gothic horror element, you know, you don't have that in modern day. And
Hmm.
I can't stand the thought of seeing a movie with a Conjuring, uh, or in the Conjuring universe, that has a cell phone or has, you know, computers, or you know, I don't want to see a modern day Conjuring movie and have it turn into, you know, like the first Ouija, or something
Hmm.
along those lines.
See, I think it would bring in a different element to the Conjuring universe that we haven't seen yet. I mean, it'd be a bold move to do, like having a cell phone in the Conjuring thing, but like they could play so much with the social media aspect of it, like spreading Annabelle to like many people as possible. They tried that with oh god, I don't want to speak about it, but they tried it with the Rings, the Ring movie
Okay,
that
yeah,
came out a couple years, like I think last year or a couple years ago. They tried it with that, and it didn't really resonate so well with audiences, and it kind of sucked. But I feel like if you
yeah,
have like the Conjuring team around it, they could do a good job, and they could bring Annabelle into the 21st century. Or I don't want to see the Conjuring because the Conjuring's about Ed and Lorraine. Like that's their story. They don't do much
yeah,
now. Ed's gone, R.I.P. Lorraine, she's up there. She's not really doing. Is she still hunting and not hunting, but she's still doing her thing? Do you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
She is. Wow,
Yeah, she
that's
does.
kudos to her.
She still does her best. Like, she doesn't take, you know, like, far away cases, but
Yeah.
anyone that reaches out to her that needs help, she does still try to help in
Wow,
any way that she can.
that's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
But like, I feel like Annabelle would be the one person to, because there's so many. Like, isn't there stories? Oh, I guess it may be touchy for the families, but like, there's so many stories about how like this doll allegedly like actually killed people in real life. Like,
yeah.
I kind of want to see like,
There's the biker and the priest. The
yeah,
biker had gone in and basically was mocking the Annabelle doll, and you know, saying, you know, like, you made slashes appear on this one guy, make him appear on me, and all that. Just completely mocking the doll, and Ed Warren kicked him out, and then on his way home, he was on a motorcycle and got into a car accident and died. I can't remember. He was with his girlfriend. I can't remember if she died as well. But then a priest kind of did something similar. Came in, grabbed the Annabelle doll, said, like, I think he said, like, God has more power over you,
yeah.
and he got into a
I've heard
car
that one.
accident
Yeah.
on his way home. He actually survived, but Ed and Lorraine visited him in the hospital, and when he woke up, he said the last thing I remember before crashing was
Was
looking in
seeing
the
an
rearview
Annabelle
mirror
doll.
and seeing that doll.
See, yeah,
Um,
there's I think it might be touchy subject to do like a real true story, but like let's just say like someone steals the Annabelle doll from the museum and then wackiness ensues or something like that. I just think it'd be interesting to see a different take in the Conjuring universe. I agree with you.
well, like something like that could still take place in the 70s. Like, uh, I see no reason to put a franchise that has established itself as purely period pieces into the 21st century. It doesn't make any sense to me. The farthest ahead I would want them to go is the 80s.
Not even the '90s. You don't want to see Hammer
No, I
Pants.
don't want to see mom jeans and dial-up internet.
That's the best.
Let me call the cops on my computer. It'll just take a sec. The sounds of dial-up brought to you by Mr. Jeff Rhodes, co-founder of Nautical
the-
Films and
The best part
professional
was I was like
douchebag.
5 or 6 when dial-up was around.
But I still
didn't-
remember it.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember
still
the struggles
remember
of it though. I just remember the sounds.
You don't
But yeah.
remember. I remember trying to watch Harry Potter Puppet Pals on YouTube in
You-
its heyday, in its earliest, and it taking like an hour to load like 5 seconds. Like it was ridiculous.
Oh.
And it was like 360 360. Like it was shot in like 360. So
Hey, it's 2000, like what, 3, 4? I don't even know.
the early days.
Yeah, right. God, we're getting old.
We really got sidetracked here.
Yeah, we did. Sorry.
Talking about the future of the franchise, and then we're gonna get on to the twist or the connection or however you want to put it, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
But the connection to I'm getting ahead of myself. The future of the franchise with The Conjuring 3, Annabelle 3, and The Crooked Man all in development, I find it very unlikely that we'll see a The Nun 2 in the next 3 years.
Good. No one wants it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see this again unless it is in the right hands and the story is compelling.
Or they just
other than
remake it
that,
completely. Well, you have to wait like a couple of years. Like, wait a couple of years. Pull a Halloween. Just redo the timeline every so often, and then who cares?
Did you see the reviews of Halloween from the Toronto International Film Festival?
93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
I'm-
it is killing it.
We're getting sidetracked again.
Dude, I'm so fun. I little sidetrack, and this could potentially spoil something for Halloween. I don't think it will. I think it's kind of a minor thing.
You are treading lightly, my friend. I want to see this movie, and don't. If you spoil anything from me, if I see it, you spoil it from me, I will fly down there and kick your butt. What is it?
I won't say it then. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay, now I'm curious. I hate you. Just tell me.
I looked at the NECA figure that they're releasing for this movie of Michael, and there was something. It's honestly, it's a pretty minor thing, and I'm surprised that they are acknowledging that it happened in the first film and actually going with that it happened in the first film.
What is that?
I don't know if it's true, but on the NECA figure, if you look through the eyes of the mask, Michael's left eye is completely white. And I remember in the first film when Laurie is in the closet and he's busting through, she takes a coat hanger and stabs him in his left eye, and I'm like,
Oh,
that is awesome. So it might he might be blind in his left eye. That's the minor spoiler.
and he's still killing people. That's so BA.
I know. Like I saw that and I was like, that is a nice little detail that I'm happy that they might be putting in. If they do, I will really appreciate it. If they don't, it's not that big of a deal. But I do think that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Anyway, okay, let's talk about the connection.
All
And
right.
while I do appreciate this connection and think it was pretty cool,
It was far fetched, but it
um,
was pretty cool.
I do have one major problem with it.
What is it?
Uh,
Wait, should we talk
so
what it is yet?
first, yeah, okay. So the connection is that at the very end of the movie, when they're leaving the castle, hey, surprise, surprise, nobody dies. Whoa,
Yeah, yeah.
nobody dies. And actually, that's something I appreciated because in The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2, nobody dies.
Those are based
Nobody
on
ends up dead.
those are based on true stories, though.
Well, it made it feel a little bit more like The Conjuring to me. You just shut your mouth, boy. But so having they having spit the blood of Christ in the face of Valak. It turns out that when Valak was strangling Frenchie, which again, this kind of gets into an inconsistency in this whole franchise logic. Frenchie is possessed by Valak. Okay, so you're saying that Frenchie is possessed by Valak, and then Valak appears, but still possessing Frenchie.
It's just like it's like Harry Potter. It's Voldemort. He put a part of his soul into Frenchie. Frenchie's a Horcrux.
Nah. All right, bust out the sword of Gryffindor. We know how to take this one out. I'm sure the Warrens have the sword of Gryffindor buried in that shop somewhere. I guarantee it.
I would find it, and I would just cut every.
But okay,
single
so that was stupid. But anyway, Frenchie's possessed by Valak, and it ends up that Frenchie is Maurice, the guy in the first Conjuring movie that is shown on that film that Ed and Lorraine are talking about. They were brought in to exorcise him. He had an upside-down cross appear on his stomach, and he grabs Lorraine, and Lorraine has the vision of Ed dying, and thus leading into the entirety of The Conjuring 2. Valak got aware of Ed and Lorraine Warren through Frenchie. He was basically the conduit to get to them, which, I don't know why she was just like, I'm in this perfectly good body. And, the end goal of demons is to possess a living soul and be able to walk the earth. But you know what? I'm going to have this guy kill himself, and then I'm just going to haunt Lorraine.
Yeah,
for
she was laying dormant for 20 years, and then it's like,
yeah.
let's just make some ruckus.
Yeah, let's make some ruckus. And none of the things that I just said I had a problem with. I think it was a cool little tie-in.
I was wondering what they were going to do. I always the whole movie I thought was going to be the Irene being Lorraine, but when I
would
was
have been perfect.
I was kind of disappointed. You're right. I was kind of disappointed at that, but I was also like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. It wasn't like, but it wasn't like the Annabelle creation at the end where you're just like,
oh God, no.
What?
Oh,
like I remember saying, and the funny thing is, the first time I saw Annabelle creation, I saw it with my mom, and she had not seen the first Annabelle, so she was like, who is this other family? What is happening? And I'm like, Mom, you don't understand what's going on right now. But oh my God, this is ridiculous. And she's like, I don't get it. I'm like, it's just a really good tie-in.
Yeah, that was pretty ingenious. That
was great. That was so good.
And that's the thing. I think I have my expectations way too high because I liked the last two movies really well. I loved Animal Creations a lot.
Yeah.
And it was like the first non-Conjuring film in the Conjuring universe that I really, really enjoyed more than the Conjuring film, more than the second one.
David Sandberg, take a dab.
And so I was just like, okay, The Nun. It was the scariest part of Conjuring 2. We're on a roll right now with like this, and then none of my expectations were met, and I just knew that Lorraine was going to be Sister Irene, and then it wasn't, and we got Maurice being Frenchie, and I was just like, oh, I guess that's cool.
and they didn't help in the interviews leading up to this film by kind of teasing it. Multiple times, Thaisa Farmiga was asked if there's any sort of familial connection, and she kind of brushed it off as if it were some kind of spoiler instead of just saying no. If it's not true, just say no.
Yeah.
Like, don't play with expectations, because when you're like, I don't know,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, come
Be
on,
be
like,
like
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, be like J.J. Abrams in Star Trek Into Darkness, where they kept saying,
Con,
"Is that Khan? No. Is that Khan? No." But the movies, it's Khan.
it's gone, it's gone.
I was like, "Oh,
But
J.J."
like the connection is cool. It's subtle, and it wasn't as over the top as like the rest of the movie. But like, here's my big problem with it, and this is probably something that someone like Jeff uh, he was just wildly flailing his tongue like a dumbass.
Sorry, I had like crust. Sorry. Continue.
Sure. That did not look like you were taking care of crust. But yeah, this is probably something that like someone like Jeff probably wouldn't have a problem with, or someone like the average film goer wouldn't have a problem with. It's just someone that has watched The Conjuring.
Well,
way
call
too
me
many
average.
times. Shut up, Jeff. Someone that has watched The Conjuring so many times and knows that film like the back of his hand. I hated that they superimposed the guy who played Frenchie into that film reel.
I didn't know that.
See, to me, it was just glaring. To me, I was like, that is so obvious that they just put him in there. And, it's kind of a problem that I have when when Hollywood replaces actors anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just does not look at all like the guy that was in the actual footage from The Conjuring. And it just, and if on the off chance that I am wrong and that was the same guy, then he has had like a lot of liposuction or something because he does not look the same. He had like some plastic surgery, and I didn't recognize him. But
see, I didn't think the tie-in would be into the first movie, so I didn't watch the first movie before I went to go see it. I watched Annabelle,
I always
Annabelle
watch the first
Creations,
movie.
and well, yeah.
The first movie's perpetually playing in my head.
See, the first movie isn't even scary to me. It's just a comedy. After I watch a horror
Screw
movie
you!
so many times, oh no, it's still a good movie. But like the scares I can see coming. 'Cause I watched it 100 times. It's funny.
Okay.
It's hilarious. Like the girl hitting her head on the cab, like the wardrobe. like you idiot, walking around possessed. Get out of there, demon.
just let the audience know that the first time you were like, oh no.
Oh no, the first time I barely watched it, I had a hand over my face. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was.
Then that's all I need to hear.
The Conjuring is not my favorite scary movie, but it's in the top 3 of all time, I would say, for me.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty scary.
I know for a fact my top 2 are The Conjuring and Halloween, the original Halloween.
My top 2 are Sinister and The Ring.
Sinister's on that list. It's just I can't watch that movie because I like to sleep at night. I enjoy getting rest. As
enough,
you know,
fair enough.
you might come to the assumption that the Conjuring is my favorite movie because it's the movie that scared me the most. No, I just think it's a really well made movie.
Oh no, you're right.
Sinister is absolutely terrifying to me, and I cannot watch that movie because I will not sleep if I do. I don't know what it is about that movie, but it just freaks me the hell out. I can't do it.
It's all little white kids, coming out of boxes and stuff.
That was a guy that came out of the box. That was the dude with the really long hair.
I don't care. He was weird. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's gonna be a classic horror movie. Uh, it's a good one. But yeah,
Well, it's part of the Renaissance. Uh, my friend Nick and I were talking about this, how horror has really gotten its second life. Honestly,
yeah, because after
um,
people stopped making that found footage stuff, they actually went back to
yeah,
real filmmaking.
absolutely.
We had Insidious come out, Conjuring come out, Sinister come out. Um,
The Conjuring was the one that started it. The Conjuring
I
started it
thought
all.
no, didn't Insidious come out first?
No, The Conjuring came out first. The Conjuring came out in 2013.
I thought Insidious came
Um,
out like maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I'm double checking, but I'm pretty sure it was The Conjuring first.
I mean that would make
Yep.
sense.
Uh,
James Wan did both, so
oh, actually, no, I am wrong. I am wrong.
oh, it's Insidious.
Insidious, yeah, Insidious came out in 2010. I did not realize it was that old.
3 years before, dang. So
Yeah,
yeah, the Warner Brothers was like, "Oh, you did Insidious. Oh, come do this movie." Because Insidious, that I think that kicked it off for me. Because James Wan, same style of directing he did in Conjuring, the long takes, the Rose Byrne being alone in the new home with the tiptoe, classic horror scene.
I think what it was you know, James Wan got his name out there for uh the with Insidious.
Yeah.
And then after that, Warner Brothers greenlit uh, The Conjuring.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That's makes I can see that. Yeah, that's definitely what happened.
um, but I think it was really those two movies that kicked everything off. And actually, funny enough, the Insidious premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, which was what Halloween just premiered at in 2010. It released in theaters in 2011.
Okay.
Um, so just 2 years before The Conjuring. But I really love seeing you've got the Insidious movies, you've got the Conjuring universe, It, Lights
Oh yeah.
Out, Oculus, Sinister. You've got all of these really high grade horror films that are coming out, and while I wouldn't put The Nun at the very top of that list, I would put it closer to the bottom with Annabelle, the original Annabelle. It is just nice to see
Hmm.
horror being taken a little bit more seriously. I think this is probably one of the bigger missteps in one of the big franchises. I haven't seen all of the Insidious movies. I've seen the first two.
Uh,
Um,
there,
but
it's pretty consistent, except for the last
yeah,
one. The last key was stupid. I've seen all of them.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty consistent.
It's really refreshing to see that all of these are kind of you know really creating a new brand of horror that I'm really getting into and really loving. If it's a good horror movie, it's either Warner Brothers and New Line or Blumhouse and Universal,
Yeah, that's
which
it.
is there's also I think is it
Or
A24, the one that just made
okay,
Hereditary.
A24. They're not making horror movies. They're making creep fests.
Yeah,
uh,
I've heard people are very very split on Hereditary.
Hereditary. Uh, uh, so am I. I, just,
Did you
the
actually did you
last.
see it?
Oh yeah, I saw it. Did you not?
No, I haven't gotten a chance to yet.
Oh my
I've
gosh,
I've just been so busy,
I feel
busy
you. But
working.
A24 did like The Witch too. I believe The Witch was a really great movie. I think it was really weird as
Okay,
well.
okay,
But Hereditary, it's not the same brand. It's a good horror movie, like horror movie
right.
making, but it was just out there. That's what I like about the Conjuring movies. Like they're
Yeah,
really like Blumhouse. They're doing their thing. They're even like moving away from horror now, more like the movie Upgrade was more of an action. And they have the
right.
Purge. The Purge is Blumhouse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they're doing like action horror stuff like that. So like, yeah, like the Purge wasn't a great. The, fir- I think with the Purges they get better with each movie. I hated the first one.
I've heard that. I've heard
Yeah,
that.
the first one was by far the worst one. The second one was decent. Third one I really liked, and like have not gotten around to seeing in the first year yet, and I really wanted to.
Uh, I I like the concept of the purge, but I've seen the first two and I didn't like the execution. And I've just never really gotten into the whole purge thing because, for anything else, it's really just, okay, so all crime is legal. Let's go murder people, and I think when I think about all crime being legal, I see a comedy with that concept. I can just see someone just being like, tax evasion is illegal. Just like
You're just
the
a
dumbest concept.
you're just a nerd like that. You're just like, oh, I want to do. I'm not paying my taxes this year. Screw you.
It's just so funny. Just thinking of shit like that. People are like, "Oh yeah, blood, guts, killing people, murder's legal. We're just gonna kill everybody." And I just be over here like, "Well, I'm just gonna re-download LimeWire and have a good night."
Just took it back to LimeWire. Oh my god. You rascal, you, the LimeWire. That LimeWire has gotten all of us in trouble. And me,
Oh my god.
yeah, but
Uh,
Lime-
I'm sorry, I could not help myself. I couldn't resist.
the Purge is good because it's like the stories. Like the third one's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
all thing being legal, and like this girl wants to stop it, and they're trying to kill her on the Purge night because she wants to make it like, illegal again. The last one's about the
Right.
first one, how it wanted to oppress lower incomes neighborhoods and like keep them down. There's a message behind it. That's why I like
Right,
the
right.
Purge movies. They have you wouldn't think they would have layers, but the Purge movies has layers, and I
Well,
like that in
and
a horror movie.
and bringing it back to the Nun, I think that's what this movie lacked was depth.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
it was a basic surface popcorn movie,
Yeah.
and for that I enjoyed it. But for a Conjuring movie, it severely disappointed me.
See,
I
and the
can't
Conjuring,
I can't say that I didn't enjoy it though.
yeah, the Conjuring movies, like the layer with it is, yeah, it's a horror movie, but in reality, it's about family. It's about sticking
Yeah.
together, and one and two are both about that, like sticking to, like the scene I like in the Conjuring. It's really stupid, but I smile when I watch it. Is when Patrick Wilson, aka Chops, starts busting out Elvis
Joss.
Presley to get the family back in spirits, and like there's like a
Oh,
circling
and the Conjuring
panning.
too.
Yeah, it was just like a heartwarming scene, and it kind of added depth to the characters, added depth to the movie, and that's something we didn't see in this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it would have benefited immensely from just a little bit more depth, a little bit more character development with the Valak and with Sister Irene, and even with
or or
the
or a little
priest.
less character development with Valak. I mean, I
That is
think the
true.
thing that was so interesting about her was just not knowing her backstory. And while I gave that much better alternative for what
hmm
Valak's backstory could have been, just why does everybody need an origin story? Just
It's
just leave it as it is.
like the Joker. Like you don't know where the Joker comes from. You don't know what the Joker is. He's just the Joker.
Exactly.
He's
Yeah.
just crazy, and that's kind of why he's scary. I can
Yeah, I
understand.
mean,
Yeah.
I think the idea, and which is why I'm really happy that they haven't gone this route with the Annabelle movies yet. Is there is no start to this thing. This, for all we can assume, this demon has just always existed,
Yeah.
and I like that. I like the idea of this thing just being there, and it's always been there, and it just started showing itself in this abbey because it was like religion not on my watch,
Yeah.
and I think that would have been a much more interesting
Like, yeah, I feel
as
I feel
yeah.
like if they made a Nun 2, they would probably. I think it'd be kind of cool. Just think about it. Like they would go back further. They would go back
Yeah.
to the medieval times because like they showed a little
Yeah.
glimpse of it in this one. I would be down for that if, like you said, in the right hands, they want to bring it back. Like you just keep bringing it further back and back and back. And
Yeah.
I think if I'm
I
wrong,
just I
it'd be the first horror movie in medieval times. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as far as I know, well, probably, if not the first, then the first good one. But,
Yeah,
um, I don't want to see that become the standard where the Conjuring spin-off movies, the first one's not so great, and then the next one is good. I would just rather it be the
good.
first one's good, hey, and the second one's good, pretty too. Like I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, I can understand
Um,
that, but so
because
with what we got,
if
that's what
that
we
were
have
the
now.
case, that would be quite the nightmare.
Okay, and on that note, I think we're done. Why are you this way?
I'm sorry. I am a man child that has a lot of toys. Okay, you can't shame me for what I love.
Well, I will do it next time we have that. When we do making horror or we do a podcast about the next Power Ranger movie, which by the way got confirmed. Then I will bring
Yeah,
my
so
Tommy dolls out
go for it. I want to see those puns. I want to see those terrible jokes. I really do.
because you're a terrible person.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up.
All right.
Um, so if you've made it this far and listened to all of
Thanks.
our
You're a
rambling,
real
yeah,
fan. Thanks, Mom.
thank you very much. Okay, so basically, like I said, there's not really gonna be a schedule with the Making Horror podcast. Jeff and I are gonna hop on here and do stuff like this when we've got something to talk about. If there's nothing to talk about, we won't discuss it. As we get closer to October, with all of the Alone anthology films that we're doing, and especially, which actually, if unless you're friends with me on Facebook or follow us on Instagram, you probably don't know that the after Alone Happy Lane, the next film that Jeff and I are actually working on together because I'm flying back to Indiana, is The Pumpkin Man Returns.
Dun,
We are
dun,
The Pumpkin Man
dun.
Returns is going to be our return to the Pumpkin Man universe. It's going to be short because I don't have a lot of time in Indiana to shoot something a little bit longer. But with that and the Alone anthology short films, which I'm really excited for because, it's creating a series while also making a bunch of independent short films that are different from one another, but all share a central theme.
Yeah, it's like
Which is just
nautical films of Black Mirror, basically, or
yeah,
Twilight Zone.
yeah, exactly. And I really like the concept, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I think you're gonna enjoy it, and I know I have read every comment on Alone. I know your criticisms of the first Alone, and we are listening to them and making sure we don't make any of the same mistakes twice.
Oh yeah,
We're learning. We're
trust
learning
me.
from those mistakes,
Yeah,
and
we're fresh out of college. We know how to take a criticism and turn it into something better. That's what you
yeah.
do.
So
Yeah,
from just what we have had made so far with Alone Happy Lane, I think you're really gonna dig what we're doing. Now, as far as making horror goes, you might see a little bit of change in design. I am working on because recently I've gotten able to shoot in 4K with the production company that I'm currently working with, and so I'm upgrading my assets. So the Nautical Films logo is different now. Not the logo itself, but the intro that will play before all the short films. Jeff, did you watch it?
I did. I liked it. It was different, but I
Okay.
liked it.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it simple. It's not as complex as our last one. Our last one was actually a template. This is actually something that I made. Watching a tutorial, but I did put it together. And I kind of put my own spin on it. So that logo is different, and Making Horror should. If I'm trying to talk with this guy uh, he's made a graphics pack that I'm trying to kind of use as the overall style for Making Horror. So you might see a change in that as soon as tomorrow, um, with the actually tomorrow, because this will probably go up on Tuesday, on Wednesday with the new episode of Making Horror with the actual review of The Nun. So you might see a little bit of change there, but we've just with all of this going on, we'll hop on here to talk about behind the scenes stuff and what's going on with our short films and kind of where we are and kind of we can offer updates, and we can offer the show is called Making Horror, so we can offer insight to like the process as we're doing it.
Yeah, I think that the year hiatus that we took was way too far, like far along from you guys. You know, we'll be putting on more like channel updates, like he said. Just kind of talking
Yeah.
to people, seeing what they have to say in the comments. Share us, like it if you like what you saw, things like that, and just
Yeah.
more laid back, kind of talk like this, just more laid back, just two guys talking it out,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
just kind of we want you to we want people to be able to connect with us more, and give us more input in what the content that we're making. If it's bad, tell us it's bad. We'll fix it. I promise you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if it's
Like
good, please share it with
we
your
take
friends.
criticism very well.
Yeah, except from Ryan, because I don't trust anything he
But
says.
thank you, Jeff. I think that while that year hiatus was, it was unfortunate that we had to do that, and it was long, and it did kind of suck, but I think it was necessary, because now that we're settled into where we're living for the moment, and it's really opened up some great opportunities for me and Jeff, and we've really been able to just hit the ground running now, and starting this week, content is just going to be pumping out nonstop. So I'm really excited to really get this stuff out to you guys, and even if it's just two people watching, you two, you're
Oh
great.
yeah. Oh yeah. YouTube is like one of the best things that came out of the world, like the internet age. It allows us to do what
Yeah.
we love, and that's just making content for people to enjoy. Whether it's one person or 1 million, it doesn't matter to us. We try to make the
Yeah.
best content as much as best to our abilities.
And that's the reason we currently don't run any ads on our channel.
Yeah.
We like the only ads that you'll see on our channel are from deals we've made, like with the Pumpkin Man 3, the song Bird Set Free by Sia is at the end, and the ads are running on that short film because that is how I got that song into the film. I contacted the Sony ATV, and they said, if you put the song in the movie, we'll just collect the royalties from the song, and or the ad revenue from the song. And I was like, okay, that works. I was never planning on making any money from any of these short films, and it might be something we look into in the future, but as of right now, we're just making the stuff because we love to.
Yeah.
And right now, and here's the other thing: you're not going to see any corporate stuff like like commercials or weddings or anything. You won't see anything like that on the Nautical Films YouTube channel from now on. It is all creative content. It's either going to be Making Horror, Jeff's show, or one of our short films.
Yeah. Work in progress. Title. Working title.
Or is that the name of the show, Working Title? Because that would be amazing. I would love
It might
that.
now be.
That is amazing. Working Title. I love that. I'm sure that's taken. But
is it taken by a 6'2", 200 and something pound black guy? I don't think so.
it might be. Who knows?
If it is,
but yeah, we're not gonna be posting any stuff like that anymore. In fact, most of the videos like that on the channel I've already listed as private, so you won't see those. That won't clutter up our YouTube channel. So you'll see all that stuff plus episodes of the Making Horror podcast, and this is really just going to be when we feel like getting on and talking to you guys. Some episodes might be 2 hours, like this one. Other
Oh my God,
episodes,
you're right.
yeah,
It's
other
2 hours.
episodes might be 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It really just depends. And you might see more people showing up on the Making Horror
Oh
podcast,
yes,
especially
yes, yes.
expect when big horror movies come out, expect to see an episode of Making Horror of us talking about it. I've also got my friends Nick and Matt, who I work with at the production company, also big horror movie fans. They're the ones I saw The Nun with. Jeff has got multiple friends that he goes and sees stuff with. So
Yeah, we might even get
um,
the special get man himself, Michael Keane, on here one time.
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Michael's wonderful. I cannot wait to see him uh, in like 5 weeks. I think it is.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a busy time, man.
It's gonna be
Like,
fun. It's gonna be a
basically what's going on is I'm flying from Florida to Indiana on Friday, and then the very next day my sister's getting married, and then the next day we're shooting the Pumpkin Man 5, and then I'm going back to my hometown, getting a tattoo from the tattoo artist that is awesome and has given me some awesome tattoos, 3 awesome tattoos. Shout out to you, Jason Haney. You're the bomb.com. And then the next day I'm flying back to Florida.
yeah, thank God.
Why did I start this with you? Like I could have started this with Josh or with you, really? What? How drunk was I? I don't recall.
It's just because you love me and everybody else was busy. So I
I
think
do love you, and
I
the end goal is to get Jeff down to Florida. That would be
oh
pristine.
if I go
But
to
he's got to
Florida,
make some bucks.
if I go to Florida, there's gonna be a lot of problems for the old people in
Why is
that
that?
state because I like to party. Just kidding. No, drink responsibly, kids. Um,
That's that's why we would probably live closer to Fort Myers. But
okay, but so I
uh,
think okay, so I think we should do our next making horror podcast. The topic I think we should do this movie. Granted, because this is a movie that most people don't watch during Halloween or during the it's not a real popular horror movie. But since we're trying to do an anthology series, and this movie was like kind of trying to take a franchise and make it an anthology, I think
uh-huh.
we should tear it apart and we should watch it and talk about it. And that movie is tension building, tension building, and
I see you
release.
shiver with anticipation.
I think that movie should be. I think that movie should be Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
I just got that on Blu-ray the other day.
Why?
Well, it came with the Halloween collection.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I saw it at Best Buy for cheap. All of the Halloween movies, even the Rob Zombie ones.
That
And
are you
I was
serious?
like,
It's like 8
yeah,
movies for like.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah. It was a
but
good
it's
price.
like I thought about it on AMC when they do the Halloween marathons. They skip 3 because it had nothing to do with Michael Myers, but that was John Carpenter's try at trying to make an anthology movie.
I completely agree that is what we should do. We should
Right, and to be honest
like
with
the
you,
night
I've never
before.
seen
We
it.
should.
I've never seen it.
Neither have I. Neither have I. I've seen
Are you
every
serious?
other Halloween movie, but I've never seen. And when it comes to the slashers, Michael Myers is my favorite. The Halloween franchise is my favorite. I haven't seen Season of the Witch. I've heard that it is like it's becoming quite a cult classic.
Is it really?
So that I think is an interesting angle for our
Because
next episode. I agree with you.
oh my
Because we could
God,
go.
this is the first time
we
ever you
could
agree
go
with me.
enjoy it while it lasts. Wait, no, shut up. I agreed with you plenty of times in this discussion.
Yeah, but
Um,
like, other like, it's rare. It's
anyway,
rare.
I agree that we should do this because we can kind of go at it at the topic. We've both never seen it, and
Yeah.
you know, do we fall on the line of this is garbage, or we fall? Okay, I can see why this is a cult classic.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if you've noticed if in the second Halloween trailer that
mhm.
played before The Nun, when Laurie said like, "Get out of here, go home, get inside." The three kids that she's talking to are wearing the three masks from Season of the Witch. There's a skull, a witch, and a pumpkin, and those are the three masks from Season of the Witch.
See, I know so little about this movie. I didn't know that was a thing. So
Do you know the concept of the movie?
I just know it was John Carpenter's like try at trying to make Halloween into like an anthology piece, and it
Yeah,
kind of
like
didn't
the
work.
the concept of the movie, from what I understand, is that this mask company is like run by a cult, and their goal is to like kill kids with Halloween masks. Um, so they do something to these masks and
Huh.
ship them out, and kids start dying. Um, Very different concept, and
Yeah.
something I mean, I have it on Blu-ray, and I watched all the other Halloween movies, and I'm like, that's gonna be the one I watch last. Now I know why. It was just in my head.
Yeah.
Also, have you seen the Rob Zombie's Halloween 2?
I saw when it came out, but I don't remember much of it.
I just watched it like 2 days ago, and I think that might be one of the first times that I've ever actually shut off a movie and
Really?
just left my condo. I
Really?
just left. I was I was watching it, and like about halfway through I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. I shut it off and just went for a drive, and I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, that was so abysmal. Like, and like I have heard it is garbage for years, and I've avoided it because like the first Rob Zombie one, while not great,
It was
it has its
enjoyable.
merits,
Yeah.
and it's enjoyable. It does still somewhat capture the spirit of the original.
Hmm.
But this one, I mean, people were like, it's just so bad, and I'm like, how bad could it actually be? So I finally decided to watch it, and boy, do I wish I hadn't, because I mean, I still don't know how it ends because I just couldn't get through it. It's so bad.
Yeah.
The scene where Michael goes into the strip club and this chick is running around just completely naked, and this old freaking creepy pervert gets his arm broken, and his arm is broken and bones are sticking out of his arm, and there's blood gushing everywhere, and he's walking around like, "Ugh," and I'm like, what am I watching? This is terrible. There's nothing enjoyable here. It's so bad. And I actually shut it off and just left because I couldn't take it anymore.
Wow. That's funny. That's funny as hell.
Oh yeah.
I
I
kind of want
mean,
to watch
like,
it now.
it's don't it's
It makes me
like
want to watch
eye
it.
molestation. It's so bad. It's, it's so bad. It is abysmal. It makes the Nun look like Citizen Kane. It is just that freaking bad.
Well, I hate Citizen Kane, so
Well, then it makes the Nun look like the first Transformers.
oh, there you go. That's the best movie that Hollywood's ever put out.
Boy, do I know how to get a reaction out of it. You just like you just shot your credibility in the face by saying
Yeah,
that.
I
You're
did.
like,
I
oh
know.
yeah,
All the listeners are
Transformers.
like, "Oh, this guy makes pretty good sense. He likes Transformers. Fuck him."
Never mind. Even if I like said the exact same point, they're gonna be like, "This guy knows what he's talking about," but this guy, he's an idiot.
He likes Transformers.
he
Ugh.
likes Michael Bay. He must suck.
Whoa! Michael Bay gets that money. Okay,
Boy,
Michael Bay's
you
a
know
pimp
it's not
of
about
Hollywood.
money
He's
for
a
me.
pimp of Hollywood directors. He just gets money and slaps bitches. Okay, no, that was kind of inappropriate.
I don't like you sometimes. I really don't. There's so many words that I have to describe you, and not a single one is positive.
But next movie we tear apart and talk about is Season of the Witch, Halloween 3.
Or next movie we praise. We don't know because we've never seen it, and
That is true.
apparently there's something. Apparently there's something to it that people are gravitating towards. I think it's like once you accept that Michael Myers isn't in it, it's a completely different thing
Yeah.
on its own. It's not too bad.
And I feel like it didn't get received that well because when it came out, people thought it was going to have Michael Myers in it, and it never did.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
since we're
absolutely.
us going into it knowing that he's not in it, and it's a wholly different story, I think it's going to help us our perception of the movie that much more.
All right. Well, that is it. That's about all we've got to say. I've really enjoyed just kind of talking. The thing with making horror is it's all scripted, and I have to remember what to say ahead of time. But here I can just kind of voice my thoughts, and I think Jeff feels the same. So expect the Making
don't
Horror
think.
podcast to continue. Why do you? You just make life so much more difficult sometimes.
I don't think
swear.
I just do. I'm a doer. All right.
You are the worst kind of person.
You are
Ever.
the best bear.
I sent a gif of that to Jorge because I told him to get on Xbox, and he's like, "Oh, I'm hanging out with some friends," and it just shows Lafayette, and he's like looking off, and he's just like, "You are the worst bear."
Yes, queen, yes.
So, on that beautifully dated note, if anybody watches this like in 5 years, that Yas Queen is going to be horribly dated.
I will be saying Yas queen to my kids. They'll be going to
And they
prom.
will hate you.
They'll be going to
you
prom,
for it.
looking beautiful in their dresses or in their tuxes. I don't know. I'm not gender fluent. Whatever they can do what they want, and I will be like, "Yas, queen, yas." Like, Dad, what's wrong with you? I'm like, a lot.
How do we get here? How do we get this derailed?
So we got here because our parents like to have coitus.
Okay. All right. That's when it's going to cut. That's when we're going to end this because we are not going into that territory.
All right.
I am not venturing into those waters.
Well,
So I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of the Making Horror podcast. Expect more to come, and expect to see a lot more content coming from Nautical Films. We're hitting the ground running, and we're really excited for what's to come.
Yeah, look out for Happy Lane, Alone Happy Lane, and then after that, looking forward to Pumpkin Man returns, and then we so much stuff. I gotta my top
much
10
stuff.
list, working title with Jeff Rhodes.
Working title of Jeff Rhodes. Beautiful.
But yeah,
All right.
it's gonna be a fun year.
It's gonna be fun. The year's almost over, Jeff.
It's gonna be a fun lifetime.
It's gonna. We're just gonna have some fun. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and until the next Making Horror podcast, have fun and try not to get too scared. Okay, sounds
And
like a plan.
yeah, and don't do drugs.
Alrighty, that's all right. 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 That's all right.